Hi everyone, I'm JosieWose and it's time for a Christmas story. This one is Santa is Coming to Sydney, written by Steve Smallman, illustrated by Robert Dunn.
Well, boomed Santa, have all the children from Sydney been good this year? Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that the children of Sydney had sent him. Mostly? Asked Santa, looking over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been especially good in the last few days, said the elf. Jolly good, chuckled Santa. Then we'd better get their presents loaded up. Even though the sack of presents was really, really big and the elves were really, really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it into Santa's sleigh. Though how they managed to fit such a big sack into one little sleigh, even they didn't know, but somehow they did. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing. Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him, but... Just then, a young reindeer strolled up, munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Asked Santa. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly that it was no wonder he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Oh well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out his Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for Sydney. This will guide us to Sydney in no time. Crunch, crunch, crunch. With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went racing through the sky. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We'll soon have these presents delivered all over Sydney. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south. On they flew as the crisp, wintry night turned to daylight. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh crossed over the equator and down to Australia. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before. They had just crossed the Blue Mountains when, suddenly, they ran into heavy cloud. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem worried at all. In 2 kilometers, said the Santa nav in a bossy lady's voice. Keep left at the next star. But madam, Santa blustered, I can't see any stars in all this cloud. Soon they were hopelessly lost. Then through the swirling cloud the youngest reindeer heard a faint chiming sound. Bong, bong. He looked over at the old reindeer with the red nose, but he had his head down. Red nose? I wonder who that could be. Bong, 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 bong. There was that sound again, like a clock chiming. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa, but Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off towards the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him. Whoa, cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. What's going on? Then, to his surprise, he heard the chiming sound. Well done, young reindeer, he shouted cheerfully. It must be St. Mary's Cathedral. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming. Then suddenly, crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the cloud. You have arrived, said the Santa nav unhelpfully. Finally, when the clouds parted, Santa discovered where arrived was, stuck right on the skywalk of the Sydney Tower Eye. Everybody pull! The reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear of the tower and Santa steered them safely over Circular Quay and past the Opera House and along Sydney Harbour until he could stop safely in the Domain. Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted the presents into order again. "All right," said Santa. "Thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming." Santa drove his sleigh expertly from rooftop to rooftop all over Sydney, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could, which was pretty fast for a chubby fellow. It didn't matter how big the chimneys were, or even if the home had a chimney, Santa worked at the speed of lightning, placing presents under every Christmas tree. The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quickly they went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children in Sydney were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry too. In house after house, Santa delved inside his sack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under the Christmas trees and carefully filled up the stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Sydney had left out a plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, and a big crunchy carrot. Santa took a little bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard and popped the carrots into his sack. From St. Clair to Bondi Beach, from Richmond to Campbelltown, and all the places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Sydney. Santa delivered presents to Andrew, Alison, Anna, Arabella, Archie, Ashley, the list went on and on, Zach, Zara, Zeb, Zoe, Zybel? That must be a spelling mistake, surely. Finally, Santa had delivered the last present on his long Sydney list. "Great moons and stars," sighed Santa. It's nearly morning and my sack seems as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone." Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of crunchy, juicy carrots. Santa divided the carrots among all the reindeer. "Well done," he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was too busy munching. It was time to set off for home. Santa reset his Santa Nav once more to the North Pole, and soon they were speeding down Pittwater, past the Hunter Valley, over the Blue Mountains, and through the rapidly approaching dawn. "Ho, ho, ho," laughed Santa. "Merry Christmas, Sydney."
Thanks for reading with me, everyone. I'm so excited for Christmas. Well, I'm JosieWose. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you see all of my other storybook read-alongs. Bye!